Hello and welcome to Best of 3, your weekly FGC talk show presented by the Daily Dot, shot here in lovely Austin, Texas. It's wet in a lot of parts of Texas, but Austin's looking good right now. Thank you for joining us. If you're new to the show, we talk all things fighting games. Right now, the conversation is mostly dominated by the Capcom Pro Tour, but that doesn't mean we don't talk about other things. Tonight on the show, we're very excited because we have none other than the winner of the first Capcom Pro Tour ranking event on American soil,
right.
Chris Tatarian. And we're very excited to talk to him. He's actually been on the show before, but never with so many points in the standings. I'm your host, Efren Salinas, and this is Mike Danke Schiller. And in a moment, we're going to be joined by our panelists who join us every week, and that would be Steve, Ace King Offsuit Jurek. Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. How about you guys?
I know you're excited to talk about Guile, and we're going to get to it. And, of course, John from Event Hubs.
Hey guys, I'm John from Event Hubs.
Hey John, how you doing? Today on the show, of course, we're going to talk about West Coast Warzone, talk a little bit about Guile. I don't know if you heard. I know Mike as well is a little bit, what is that, like you combing your hair? Is that your version of it?
I was trying.
Yeah, well, it's not exactly the same.
I'm working on growing it outwards.
Yeah, that way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about those things, and I don't know if you guys saw, Daigo hosted a tournament over the weekend, and it was interesting. We're going to talk about that as well. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Again, we mentioned at the top of the show it was a Capcom Pro Tour ranking event. And it was in Southern California.
And we've had premier events. We just haven't had a ranking event, which is a bit smaller, actually, and doesn't have an automatic entry at the top.
And we can talk about how that changes the dynamic here in a little bit. But so we said we were going to talk about Capcom Pro Tour and how the points have shaken up the standings, and to that we turn to our very own Steve, Ace King Offsuit Jurek, and on the screen you can see the top 10 now.
All right. Well, over the weekend, West Coast Warzone was primarily a West Coast major. A couple of East Coast players made it out, like Ludovic from CoinUp. KBR flew up mostly for Marvel, but it was primarily a West Coast event, and you can see that in the top 8. Chris T won, PR Balrog in second, that grand finals. If you guys remember, like the Tough Man competitions back in the day, where they took two people who weren't boxers, but they just wanted to fight, and they put them in a ring, that was basically it. They were just slugging at each other for like 10 minutes nonstop, no blocking, whatever. It was entertaining as hell, though. But F-Champ made an incredible run through the losers bracket. He had a little bit of a controversial moment, let's say, with Alex Pye.
We'll come back to that. On the screen right now, we're seeing, I cut together a string of 3 perfects that I found. This was Christy versus Filipino Man. He got 2 perfects back-to-back in 2 different matches. And I forget who the third perfect was from. But you were saying, F-Champ had a good run.
F-Champ had an amazing run through the bracket. Got knocked to losers in his second match of the tournament, and then ran it all the way back to third place. Took out Filipino Man, took out Ricky, took out Chris G, I believe. It was an incredible run. And then Filipino Man got 4th, but he was first in my heart.
Oh, I bet you I know why. Let me pull that up. Here we go. Is this why he was first in your heart?
I'm assuming so, because I can't see it.
All right, I always forget that. Yeah, Wake Up Supers, Wake Up Critical Arts.
You know what's interesting is that actually happened as a result of the Alex patch change. That neutral jump would have cleared the super had the neutral jump frames not have changed. So I'm not sure if he didn't directly know that or what, but yeah, don't neutral jump to bait Chun-Li's spinning bird kick. I just think it's a bad idea.
It goes deeper than that, though. I was playing a set with a local Chun-Li player, and I was playing Nikali. And Chun-Li's super or critical art is known for moving her very far horizontally, right? And then Nikali's EXDP moves him fairly far horizontally also for a DP. So it was a wake-up super situation, and I ripped EXDP to go up past it. What happened was I went straight up in the air, she began kicking, and I just came straight back down right onto her and got hit by like the last 80% of the super. It was amazing. So like Street Fighter V, very different in the way supers or how ultras used to work and things like that. You can't escape it like you could before.
Yeah, a lot of them are actually a little harder to escape. I know Nikali has guaranteed chip super setups versus most of the cast, etc.
But what I want to talk about is if that's bad manners or not. I mean, the thing is, it's like a risky move to do a wake-up ultra. Arguably scrubby move to do, right? The fact that he gets it away, I would expect for them to cut to him and him be doing this. Oh, dear God, I can't believe that worked. Instead, the dude gets up and does the animation a la Juicebox Abel or something to that effect. But, again, Mike, I'm going to start with you, man.
I mean, to be honest, I don't particularly care.
Yeah.
He woke up with Ultra. Chris G's a little salty. It's not like he punched him in the face, I mean, it could be annoying, but that's obviously what he's going for, and he clearly doesn't care.
John, what would you do if your opponent got up on something he didn't deserve to beat you on and
He deserved it. I think that's unfair to say.
You think that was a read?
Yeah, why not? I mean, why not try it? It worked.
Here's the thing. I've played with Anton, Filipino man, quite a bit. And I think most of us, like from the SoCal group in the last couple of years, the Wednesday Night Fights crew that has played with him, will tell you Anton, he's a great player. His resume speaks for itself. He did very well in 4. He's doing very well in 5. I can't knock that at all. But Anton will do some scrubby stuff, and as evidenced by this. And the other thing is, Anton's a master of figuring out what's really strong and doing the shit out of it, and not being deterred by anything you do. Oh, did you beat it the last time I backdashed with Rose? Did you option select it? Guess what? I'm gonna do it 16 more times. And again, you can't argue with his results. He's a master at just this unshakable style. But oh my gosh, especially for people like Chris G that gets to play with Anton all the time, and a lot of the guys from SoCal, the salt had to be real in that moment. Just a wake up super. Really, Anton, this is what we're at right now. But man, kudos to the guy. He won, and he did very, very well throughout the tournament. So I can't be mad at him. It was entertaining for all of us. We got to have a good laugh out of it. So I'm happy it happened.
Steve, you said this made you a happy man. Why did that make you happy?
You know what? I might have been a little salty if I got hit with that. But you know what? If seeing Anton do the super himself, as a big man, I appreciate the mobility. You don't understand how tough it is to keep your balance in that situation. So Anton, you my boy, man. Thank you.
You also got to imagine or remember that in this day and age of esports and sponsorships, Team YP got a lot of press off of that. It was everywhere, right? I mean, we put it on our page, on our Facebook page. Actually, we routinely put replays in case you're not catching all the streams. You want to catch up on your League of Legends plays and that. We post them to our Facebook page. We posted this one. It's one of the first Street Fighter ones we ever post to our Facebook page. And I think it has like over 80,000 views already. So shout outs to Team YP's Filipino man doing that critical art animation.
I guess, it's an aside point, but Street Fighter is one of the games with enough pauses in it that you get to cut to people more often. In League of Legends, you get a kill, you do something like, you can't really cut to the player because he's still playing. But in this, every single round, there's a break.
Yeah.
So you get to see a lot more people, and seeing him do something might get us more recognition. So, if it works out, it works out. You probably won't see me doing that soon.
Yeah, we'll see. Texas Showdown, we'll see. John, Steve, you alluded to the pause incident earlier, and this was in a match between Alex Valle and F-Champ. Not Filipino man, but Filipino champ. Steve, could you refresh people's memories in case they didn't actually catch it or fully understand what actually went down?
Sure. What happened, this was back in Saturday, losers final of the pool. So this is to make it to top 32. This was the third game. They each won the first round, or each won one game. Third game, Valle won the first round. And then second round, during a super, Valle accidentally hits the pause button and then immediately unpauses the game. They both play the round out. Champ wins the round, but then Valle wins round 3 to win the set, or so we think. After the match, I don't know if he called a TO over or a TO went to him, but there was a discussion between the TO and F-Champ, and they decided third game needs to be replayed. They play it out. F-Champ wins. As soon as it's done, he's nodding his head. He's telling Valle to sit down to play a fifth game. The other TO says, I'll allow it, because he's commentating on stream. So they play it out, and F-Champ wins that. So very, very confusing situation, poorly handled in my opinion. But I'll let you guys.
Well, Steve,
This has been said time and time again. I'm just going to say this real quick, and then you get to.
by all means.
There needs to be an outright rule that whoever paused it
Immediately
loses. It doesn't matter what you do after that. That needs to be a rule. I think it is a rule.
But there's like the imminent death or in the middle of a animation pause.
It didn't kill him though. If it's a super that kills you and it's over, yeah, that's a little different. But this was a different situation, and I remember specifically he did a bad punish afterwards, partially out of confusion.
Yeah.
And Valle himself unpaused the game. So I mean, it's hard to as a player be like, okay, I'm repausing.
Mm-hmm.
Which maybe is what he should have done, but anyway, it shouldn't be something that the player decides.
So my question to you, Steve, would have been, how would you have seen it handled?
From FChamp's side, once the pause happens, that's your responsibility to say, hey, I'm taking the round. You can't let it play out and decide after the fact, oh, I'm taking the round. And on the TO side, you got to make that call right away.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to put players in a position where they're deciding, do I want to take the round or do I want to be cool about it and let it slide? You know, there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot at stake now. This isn't just 5 guys hanging out in a basement anymore. This is some serious stuff. You TOs have got to make that call.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, it was a pretty just convoluted situation, you know. Too much happened too quickly, and people weren't really ready to make the call. The players weren't ready to react. The TOs weren't ready to react right off the bat. And I feel like there is a written rule, you know, especially for Capcom Pro Tour events, that a pause automatically disqualifies or forfeits the round. But I mean, the nature of fighting games is, what do you do there? What if you're losing and you got to, you know, deal with the meter after that and try to keep things as even as possible? Like it's something that needs to be investigated further, and there needs to be a clean-cut, absolute rule that, you know, whatever that ends up being, it needs to be out there and everyone needs to know it. Because even later on in the tournament, just a few matches later, there was another pause, like a lower profile set, but still a tournament set on stream, and they just unpaused and kept playing. And it's like, we have to have a rule. We have to have a rubric that everyone clearly understands before they begin.
Now, the pause is one thing, John. The other is adding an extra match that some people were upset about as well. How do you feel about that, man?
Well, and when we were watching it happen, it seemed as though what happened was they played 4 sets because of the pause and everything. And then FChamp said, no, we're going to play a 5th set. And I actually wrote an article on it, and I said in the title of the article, and FChamp makes up his own rules because we're in a, you know, like essentially it's a circus at this point, and that was the feel to it. But Valle clarified later, and he was very close, obviously, to the whole situation, that it wasn't that Champ, that was essentially just a run-back set. And had Valle won it, it wouldn't have changed anything. Now, it was still very peculiar that they would do that at all. It made no sense. Especially if it didn't have any effect on the tournament itself and at the outcome of the match. But it was kind of a shit show at that point, you know? It was like, what are we doing? Do we pause now? Do we unpause? Like, what's going on? So the whole thing, I think that was more just a result of how chaotic the situation was. And Champ just felt like, hey, right now it's probably a good time to like keep it going, to show in good faith. You know, I respect Valle. I'm going to give him another chance, or I just want to give him a shot at I don't know, evening things up, at least in the eyes of the public. I don't know. But that's the result of not having a really grounded and standard rule set. And there you go. Like, there's your evidence. We need something in place, and quick.
Before we move on from this pause topic, Steve, is there any precedent that you remember of a rule being implemented or changed in the middle of a Capcom Pro Tour season in the past?
I would say it wasn't a Capcom Pro Tour event. It was a Pro Tour event, but it wasn't part of the Pro Tour. The closest I can think of was at EVO a few years ago for the Marvel tournament. The community wanted 3 out of 5. They had always run 2 out of 3 at EVO. And the first set of pools at 2 out of 3, and then they found out, oh, we've got enough time. We can actually run 3 out of 5 in the blocks. So the rest of the pools were run 3 out of 5. And that I said at the time, that was something that they made the right decision in the absolute worst way possible. Yeah. You know, once the rules are set, the entire point of having the rules is that so it's the same experience to everyone. And if you're not applying the same experience, even if you're trying to make a change that you think is going to be better, you're just screwing over the people who didn't get to benefit from that change. So,
yeah. And it's a poor look. It's a terrible look. Like, we're not professional and we're doing stuff like this. And as we rise up into this esports era, rise up. No,
Yeah,
as we move forward, as we move forward, like, we need to be consciously and actively thinking about these things, because we need to take ourselves seriously as the FGC before anybody else is going to take us seriously. So just something to think about. And Steve, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I'm wondering here is, there was a rule set up last year for the 2015 tour. It's not listed on the 2016 tour. I had to look up the rules from previous versions for my article, and I had to do that through the Wayback Machine. Why is there not a publicly listed set of rules for this Pro Tour? You're only giving away $500,000. It's kind of a big deal.
What was exactly the rule for a pause?
The rule for the pause as of last year, I can't, like I said, I can't speak to whether it's the same this year or not. The rule for a pause is, if it happens, it's an in-game violation, it's reported right away. But any violation that isn't reported right away is supposed to be ignored. So under that circumstances, you would just let it rock.
So Vi would have lost? I mean, Vi would have won. Vi would have won, yeah.
I would have won. There is, a catch-all clause at the very end of the rules that says that TOs can change the rules at any time due to unusual circumstances. So it's sort of like a cover-your-ass policy, but if it came down to like a binding arbitration sort of thing, you would have to believe that that clause would say whatever the TO says goes.
All right, let's move on. In brief, could you just say, how did KBR do at West Coast Warzone?
He won, I believe.
He won, guys. He's hanging on to that title. All the shit they gave him, like, you have to go out and compete and defend your title. He did it, and he won. What was all that buildup about? Anyway, guys, there was a cosplay Daigo tournament, but there's not much more to say about that other than that it was hilarious and charming, and Daigo wore a funny costume. Let's put that up on the screen here.
I saw a picture of what he was supposed to be.
I can't tell.
I didn't really get it. It's some Japanese monument or something, or
a
character.
monument.
Oh, is that what it was?
I don't know exactly.
I'm pretty sure Fudo was Chucky.
Fudo was Chucky.
And this guy looks like he's got bones on his arms or some kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, it was super cute, kooky, charming. It's the kind of thing that I doubt we would ever see. Like, who's the Daigo equivalent? Justin Wong in the United States?
In terms of the most notable player, probably, or Lupe.
Or Lupe Fiasco. Would you guys ever expect to see an event like this? And what I thought was charming about it was that it wasn't all pros. It was like literally a fun event, a get-to-know Street Fighter type event. In brief, your thoughts, so then we can talk about Mr. Guile, Colonel Guile. I'll start with you, Steve. Yeah.
I'll say this. If Rick decided that in order to compete in the Skullgirls tournament at Combo Breaker, you had to dress up in cosplay, they would show up in cosplay. I felt a little uncomfortable with Daigo's costume, I have to say.
You know what, man? Just go ahead and say it. Tell me why, Steve. Tell me why that it made you slightly uncomfortable.
I'm not going to say why. I'm not going to say anything. I will.
You don't like Japanese culture?
I will also say I'm part Jewish, so just. But really, it's great to see Daigo do stuff like this. He has this reputation of being this solemn, stoic person at tournaments. He goes up, he shows up, doesn't show any emotion, wins, takes our money, goes home. For him to show this personality, to show that, hey, he can laugh, he can have fun, that just makes him even more valuable as an asset to the FGC.
You mentioned briefly Skullgirls, and it reminded me of something that I wanted to mention earlier about the whole pause thing. In Skullgirls, you have to hold down pause, and then it pauses.
Technically, that exists in Street Fighter V as well.
Why don't we have that? Too late. We should have talked about it. Okay, guys. Guile has been announced. Well, we already knew he was coming, but we got the trailer today. Let's boot that up right here.
Hold on. Before you do.
All right, let's hear it. Steve, what you got, buddy?
Okay, I'm ready.
You've been wanting to do that since the last time you messed it up, dude. Anyway. I'm going to go ahead and let you kick it off because if I'm not mistaken, in Street Fighter 4, you were a Guile main, and you told me that you
Well,
play
let's not
Guile
talk like I
clones.
actually play Street Fighter 4. But yes, Guile is the character I wanted to play in this game. Wasn't out. They announced he was coming as DLC, and I'm excited ever since. And based on what I've seen from a trailer and then from some of the gameplay they've actually been showing right now in the UK,
Here, let me pull it up for you.
I think he looks really awesome. I think he's very standard Guile with a couple, like, shiny rims on him. And I think that's exactly the right way to do things.
So this footage that you're seeing on the screen right now, stream, is from the Winter Stays On sessions on the Capcom Fighter stream earlier today. I can't tell, but my guess is that the original Guile costume that you're seeing right now is from the story costume. And as you can tell, he's not wearing shades. They did also reveal, I'm very sad to say, that you cannot take on and off the shades. So, Steve, you're stuck with them. You can't take them off because this is Street Fighter V.
Now, as far as what the information we have on him goes, it's pretty limited right now. We do know his regular flash kicks are not hit invincible.
Okay.
So they'll go through fireballs, they'll go through grabs, but they will still be hit, which is unlike any pretty much Street Fighter game in the past. But his EX is invincible. His V skill is like a stationary sonic boom that powers up the sonic booms he
Will,
throws
go
through them.
with that. Thank you, Will.
And then his V trigger allows him to, after throwing a sonic boom, throw additional smaller ones by pressing the punch buttons. And we've seen a couple of crazy combos as a result of that.
If you see in the trailer, look, he's doing it there too. He chucks the 3 booms, right?
Yeah.
It looks like similar to maybe the Iron Cyclone. It wastes meter when you do the spin.
Right. Every additional sonic boom you throw takes away chunks of the V meter, and it drains slowly by itself just as you play.
Okay.
Supposedly, he does not have a 3-frame normal, if that's notable to anyone watching. And overall, I mean, he just seems like the Guile you know and love. And I think, he can crouch walk too,
Can't forget
which
the
is
crouch
really
walk,
goofy.
dude.
So he can hold a charge while advancing forward.
I mean, that what was intentionally put in the game to make Guile work has been removed. Now he can walk forward with that. How does that, in your opinion, change the way Guile will be played, if at all? Because it's a super slow walk.
It's a super slow walk. He can't throw a sonic boom after it, so I mean, it's less likely.
Do you know how
jump.
it works? Like how you actually set it up?
All you do is you press down forward, and then
Okay.
like while you're crouching, he starts to shuffle a little bit.
Okay.
It lets you move a little bit while still threatening an anti-air. I don't think it's going to be a cornerstone of his game, but I also haven't played the character, so I have no real idea about that.
I asked Knuckledew, what do you think of what you've seen so far of Guile? And he said a couple of things. One, he thinks it's a shout out, or he gave shout outs to Capcom for having the costume have permanently the shades on. I think that's a nod to him, although I'm not sure. And 2, he said he wanted a character. He's always been interested in characters that have that stationary projectile or move, which is why he picked up Fang. And now his character has one, so he's thrilled.
I'm thrilled too.
Yeah, I'd be looking to see that. John, do you have any thoughts on Guile? You guys have had several posts on Event Hubs, and it's hype. People are excited.
Yeah, we've been scrambling to get all this information up to you guys, and I'm in the process of trying to analyze him and make up a pretty beefy post later on of everything he can do. But he's interesting. He looks very much in his movements like a lot of, like they just grabbed all the traditional Guile moves. But you put that within the atmosphere of Street Fighter V with things like crush counters, with just the pace of the game, the way the game's made, and it's going to make him a whole new character in that respect. And I think that'll make him different enough so it'll be fresh, but he's still going to be the Guile, like you said, we know and love. So I'm really excited to see how he plays out. I think he's going to be pretty bad on defense, like once he's knocked down, but it might be really hard to get there when you're fighting against him. So, I mean, but this is all speculation until we get our hands on him.
Yeah, and who knows when that'll be.
It's weird because they didn't have a trailer for Alex, right? We just kind of got him randomly the last day of the month.
They eventually came out with a trailer.
Maybe like the day he was out.
Something like that.
After he came out.
After he came out. Okay, perfect. So it's getting a little better.
It'll be April 31st at 11:59 p.m., something like that.
Regardless, I'm looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it. It'll be cool to see what the guys do, guys like Dominion and Knuckledew do with him.
Now, the official ruling is that you need 2 weeks, right? For
is that
a
it, or is it 1
Capcom
week?
Pro Tour?
It is 1 week after the launch.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. No one used Alex in top 16 at Fighting Jam, or Arena Jam, in Brazil. No one used Alex in top 16 at West Coast Warzone. Is that because people are still trying to learn Alex well enough to bring him out at a tournament? Is it because no one was really attached to him? Or is it because of that whole glitch with the character select screen?
I think a large part of it is that people think Alex is bad.
Exactly.
Which isn't necessarily factual in any way, shape, or form yet, but the latest like tier list that's been floating around from Japan has him, like being weak. So, but given that he wasn't in Street Fighter 4, he also and he's so different from his Third Strike like iteration. It's a lot harder to learn him. Whereas Guile seems like, especially from watching I'm Still a Daddy play, if you played Guile, it would be a bit faster of a transition. But who knows?
Not to mention Guile's new move is the V skill, which is pretty easy to pull off.
Yeah, really easy to
But
pull off.
the idea that when a new character comes out, you either you won't see him because he's new and people don't want to test it, but also there's that advantage of nobody else knows how to fight this guy.
Oh, totally. And I think Guile jump into some top spots before Alex does.
Interesting.
We'll see.
All right, guys. That brings us to the end of our panel topics. Why don't you give us a heads up, Steve? We have a very packed weekend this weekend.
I'm really hoping you guys don't have anything planned. This is a perfect weekend for you. We've got 2 Capcom Pro Tour events, Frogbite out in Italy, and we've got Texas Showdown in, surprisingly, Texas. Also have an exhibition at PAX East this weekend, and the big one, Red Bull Kumite. Plus, we've got another week of Street Fighter Crash. I keep wanting to call it Tekken Crash.
Yeah. And we still haven't talked about Street Fighter V Crash. It's a really exciting tournament with team-based, 3-man teams, and Razor's doing really well. And Steve, you and I were talking about it before the show, but we're going to save that for another show because, there's only so many things you can talk about on one show before we bring on our guest. But again, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to all those. Danke and I will be at Texas Showdown. He will be commentating as well as competing. Oh, wait. Before the panel goes, Christy won the ranking event, and now he's tied for 4th in points. There's no reason to believe that you cannot win Texas Showdown, and then this SOB will be ranked tied 4th.
There is plenty of reason to believe it. But I'm going to believe against it anyway. I'm winning Texas Showdown.
You think you're going to win Texas Showdown?
No, but I'm going to anyway.
Stop having no in your heart, Danke. I believe in you.
John believes in you. Steve?
I don't believe in you, Danke. I believe in the me that believes in you.
Perfect.
So, hey, man, we might have you on this little, on this guy right here. Oops.
Okay, here's my only request. If I get even 1 point, we have to scale it way past number 10. Like, I have to be on the standings every time.
You could be there.
You could put like a ...
There's an ellipses, and then
just an ellipses, Danke.
Way bigger than everybody else.
I have a point.
And you have to do this. I have a point, guys. 1 point.
1 point, Danke.
Steve, John, thank you so much for joining us like you do every week. We look forward to talking to you next week. Stick around in the chat. Why don't you? We'll see you guys. All right, coming up on the show is Chris Tatarian, the gentleman who won West Coast Warzone with Ken. I saw him tweet, great, just what every Ken main wants is a badass Guile in a game. Why would he say that? And we could probably ask him, but why do you think he would say that?
I mean, traditionally, in both Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 4, Guile has been a tough matchup for Ken. He can't compete in the Fireball War. His air shenanigans get shut down pretty hard by Guile's anti-air suite. It's always been a matchup that Guile could handle. Mm-hmm. And also, all Ken players are stupid and Guile players are smart. So
well, that helps, I guess. Question. In 4, because it looks like by watching the trailer that Guile has an air back throw and an air forward throw.
Just like he has in Street Fighter 4, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. There you go. Thank you for answering that. Do we have Chris yet? Hey, Chris.
What's up?
Chris Tatarian. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure Will's going to cut to you here in a second. Chris, first question off the bat, man. Is this the first... Did you expect to win a Capcom Pro Tour event?
Yes, because I believe in myself, and I believe that I'm good enough to compete with everybody and win.
So you did win. How does it feel?
I felt, man, the moment when I won, I just got up and everything was just surreal. It felt really awesome, everybody rushing me down, and I've never felt like that before. So it was an awesome feeling, and I still feel good today. I still have people hitting me up, and saying good things about it. So I'm very appreciative of that.
Well, congratulations on behalf of Dot Esports as well. I didn't mean to imply that you're not capable of winning, but the reason I ask if you were expecting to win is because it was, as many people pointed out, like a souped-up Wednesday night fights, right?
Yeah.
And Snake Eyes was there, and Snake Eyes usually wins Wednesday night fights. So that's why I mean. How did you feel when you had some of these guys? You're like, were you even concerned about a guy like Snake Eyes, or how did that play out?
Okay. So going back to your question, did I expect to win?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I'm not going to expect to win when there's a plethora of amazing players. You know what I mean? But I believe that I can win. I believe in myself that I'm capable of winning. When it comes to Snake Eyes, just to let you guys know, Snake Eyes went to the first 2 Wednesday night fights and did not show up afterwards. So I haven't played against Snake since the first week of Wednesday night fights. Seeing Snake there is always not something that I look forward to, because I personally have a struggle against Zangief. But, I mean, seeing Eduardo there was also not a pleasing thing, or Justin, or a lot of the guys from NorCal and SoCal as well. Having to fight Jesse, I hate Dalsum, so having to fight Jesse was also a struggle as well. So it wasn't just Snake Eyes that I was looking at. It was pretty much everybody. Jace was also there. Anton, Chris G, everybody.
Good.
I was just interested about I've heard the Ken Dalsum matchup go both ways, like 7-3, depending on who talks about it.
Yeah, so this Street Fighter V saga, when it comes to the Ken Dalsum rivalry, is going to be pretty real, because all Ken players think that Dalsum beats Ken, and all Dalsum players think that Ken beats Dalsum. I personally think that Dalsum beats Ken, obviously. He's always beaten Ken, in my opinion, in Street Fighter, in all of Street Fighters that I know of. And I think that it's just, if the Dalsum player plays pretty much perfectly, right, and the Ken player plays perfectly, it comes down to if the Dalsum player is going to let the Ken player hit him. If I hit him, I'm going to do my absolute best to stay in on him. And if I maximize all of my opportunities, then I will get the win. But that climb of actually getting the hit on him, I have to take risks. I have to just... You'll see me do random uppercuts in neutral, and yes, I'm not getting punished for it, but that's not my fault that I'm not getting punished for it. I'm still taking the risk of jumping or uppercutting. Any matchup where the one character has to take a lot of risks in order to hit their opponent, that obviously that matchup is not going to be in that character's favor.
Now, in the realm of taking risks, and obviously it was still an explosive grand final set, a lot of people have commented that it was a crazy grand final set, and perhaps a little sloppy. Would you attribute that to anything? Do you agree with that? How do you feel about how it went?
That was a complete slugfest. That was such an amazing grand finals, in my opinion, because it was both players just not giving a fuck at the end of the day. I saw Eduardo just uppercutting on Wake Up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to uppercut too on Wake Up. And he blocked it a couple of times, and I blocked it a couple of times, but we still kept doing it. The fact is, we're just trying to find some way to get in each other's heads. You know what I mean? So uppercutting on Wake Up, yes, it's YOLO, but sometimes you just got to do it, and it feels good. So
now, have you played Eduardo in 5 yet, outside of this tournament?
I played Eduardo once, and it was a 1st to 5 at NCR. I went to his room, and I think the score was like 5-4. So that was the one time that I played Eduardo. But I had such a fun time playing against him. Shout-outs to Ed. That was a great set.
I want to remind everybody watching the show that this is a call-in show. If you have questions for the champ, go ahead and call in, and we'll hear your question live, and then he'll answer it. I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time, though. After you ask your question, I'm going to hang up on you. It's not to be rude. It's just so that we can keep it going. Sometimes these questions get a little long-winded, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. So Chris is ready to answer your questions, and we're ready to hear them. All right, but moving on. I saw you in the chat earlier, Chris, talking about this pause incident.
Yeah.
I'd like to get your take on it. You said you were going to explain things.
Yes.
What are you going to explain, and why do you feel the need to do so?
So this has been the talk of West Coast Warzone, was the pause, and I was literally right behind Vi when all of this happened. So this is, in my opinion, and I think in every top player opinions. So Vi does the super, and he pauses the game. In my opinion, and in others' opinions as well, when I was talking to Brent, Mark, CJ, etc., the pause was in the middle of a super. Now, as your opponent, right, if I'm the opponent and my opponent pauses the game, if it's in the middle of a super, I have more than enough time to acknowledge that he did a super and I'm going to block it, meaning my punish should be optimal. Now, it wasn't like a rage quit pause. It was an accidental pause. That didn't change the fact that he was still in the animation of super, meaning that I knew that I was going to obviously block the super. I had all day to block the super because it was paused, and my punish was going to be optimal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once Valle paused, he stopped, and he went up to look at F-Champ. When you looked at F-Champ, you could clearly, in my opinion, see that Valle was saying, hey, do you want to just take the round, or do you want to keep it going? That is because of the fact that the super was in mid-play. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And from what it looked like on my side and all of my friends that were watching, it looked like Champ disregarded the fact that he paused it because of the fact that it was in mid-super. Thus meaning that he was going to get the optimal punish once he blocked it. Mm-hmm. Once this happens, however, Champ gets the punish with down fierce, slide into V-trigger, whatever it was. Valle somehow makes a comeback, right? And after that match, when Valle won, Champ continues to say that, he thought that it was going to be, that the round was going to be to him because Valle paused it. It doesn't make sense to me as to why he thought that the round would go to him if he continued with the optimal punish. You get what I'm saying? He continued to play the round as if there was no pause at all until he actually was about to die and he did wake up super. Now, that wake up super looked like a pretty desperate wake up super in my opinion. It didn't look like, I'm going to give the round away. And if it looked like he was just going to take the round, why would he wake up super if there was an extra round afterwards? Why would he just waste all of his meter? Clearly, that was an act of desperation in my opinion. However, to save Champ from kind of what I'm saying right now, I'm not trying to blow him up, he did the right thing in my opinion by giving that extra match. He knew that after winning that match, that extra, you know what I'm talking about, right? The extra match that he said to Valle. That was due to the fact that he knew that there had to be at least one more. Yeah. He couldn't just leave it at the way that it was. And that was making it right. That was setting it back to, okay, well, let's at least just, I think it should have been the winner of that last match would have won, in my opinion.
So, to clarify, Chris, how would you have expected that to play out? How should it have played out just to clarify how you feel about this?
I personally feel like once Valle paused it, if Champ did not say, I'm going to take the round, and he continued with a punish, he didn't just stop, he continued with a punish. If you're continuing with a punish after the block super, you play the round the way it is, and if Valle won, then Valle won. But things happen, and I personally feel like Champ made it right by adding that extra game.
Chris, we have our first call for you, and I'm looking at it here. You're in college, right?
Yes.
And you're also in a fraternity, correct?
Yes.
I believe this question is about that topic.
Okay.
Juan, you're on the air. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hey, Chris, I'm a brother Sigma Chi on the East Coast, and I've always been a big fan of you. I just wanted to know, are your brothers supportive of you? Do they know that you play? Do you play with them? Just how that relationship is going on?
First of all, in Hoke. Second of all, the brothers in my fraternity don't really know much about Street Fighter. They just know that I'm the Street Fighter guy. And they'll always retweet some of my stuff and whatnot. But when it comes to me trying to play with them, it doesn't really work out as much as I would want it to. Obviously, it would be awesome to play Street Fighter with the bros in my fraternity, but sometimes they'll come over and get a couple of matches in with each other and drink a couple of beers or whatever. But as far as practicing with me or helping me out, they don't really practice with me, but they do support me whenever I do something awesome or win Wednesday night fights or something like that.
But I mean, that to a bigger degree, I mean, do the people around you that aren't in the FGC get it?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, go ahead.
People, I mean, trying to explain to people that I play Street Fighter, I guess you could say professionally because you can make money from it. It's a hard concept to grasp for them. They think of Call of Duty and et cetera, and then you tell them yeah, I get to travel. I've been to this place and I've been to that place. And they're like, oh crap, this is kind of legit. But it's weird explaining it to a girl. Explaining it to a girl is the hardest thing to do. So I try to keep that on the down low until she either stumbles upon it or she asks me what my hobbies are. I'll be like, yeah, I play soccer, basketball, play some Street Fighter. Then that'll go on to a whole course. But usually girls find it okay once you tell them that you travel and you make money for it. They'll be like, okay, you're kind of cool.
Yeah, if you're, in shape and wear muscle shirts, telling girls, hey, I play video games for a living.
90 degrees right now outside. It's plastic, so it's hot.
We have another call for you here. This is from Sprig. Sprig, you're on the air. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Go ahead with your question.
Spriggs. The guy messed up the name.
Ian Barker.
Spriggs.
I'm going to have to talk to that guy. Spriggs, you're on the air, by all means.
It's cool. Okay, so my question is for Chris, as well as you two as well. Snake hasn't really been, Snake Eyes hasn't really been making as much of a splash as I would want, as many people would want, his fans, with Geef. We know that, Geef as a player is good. My question is, when do you think he's going to have that second character that he's been talking about brought out in tournament?
So the question is whether I think Snake is going to bring out a secondary character, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for as long as I've known Daryl, he plays Zangief, but he's also had like pocket characters. In Street Fighter 4, you saw him use Evil Ryu against Bonchan when he absolutely needed to, and this was after years and years and years of enduring bad matchups with Zangief. In this game, I think that because of the fact that matchups don't really matter as well as players do, you know what I mean? This game is more of player matchups, whereas character matchups. I think that he feels as if he can practically beat anybody with Zangief, but he's starting to realize that characters like Nash and Fang give Zangief a very, very hard time. So if he's going to want to proceed in tournaments, he knows that he's going to eventually run into a Nash player. He's going to eventually run into people who are going to counterpick Zangief, or Dawson as well. So I think he's starting to get the grasp of, okay, I need to play a second character and bring him out in tournament, or else I'm just going to keep running into these guys. And he might feel that he's better than these players who are counterpicking him. And it just comes down to him, to be honest. If he wants to make that effort into, putting that secondary character in tournament, then that's up to him. It's a risk, obviously. It's very nerve-wracking when we have to play our secondary characters just to counterpick, and if the counterpick doesn't work, it's like, crap, now I got to go back to something I don't like. So he has to make sure that he's absolutely confident in playing his secondary, which I think is Ryu right now, in tournament before he decides.
Now, on the subject of characters and off the subject of Snake Eyes, it's no secret that you and your buddies all play Ken. You call yourselves as Trinity, whatever. You and Brent specifically have seen better results in Street Fighter V than you ever did in 4. Do you think part of this is a result of playing the same character and getting to share tech, or is it just because it's a new game? How do you feel about playing the same character as your buddies?
I think Brent was not given enough credit for how good of a Street Fighter player he is in Street Fighter 4 because of the overshadowing of Justin and Ricky both using the same characters. Brent was always that other, Rufus player until the later years of Street Fighter 4. However, in this game, because of the fact that, like I said earlier, it's not so much of matchup based but player based as well. I think Brent's skills are actually being shown now, and the fact that him and I play Ken and Julio as well, sharing tech and figuring out matchups together is always the greatest thing that a player can do, because now when he's playing and I notice something that he's not doing or that he's not seeing, I can easily go up to him and be like, hey, you should uppercut in this situation, or you could do this in this situation. Having 2 to 3 minds consistently figuring out what we need to do is optimal as fuck. So Brent and I have been trying our best to just think of every situation that we can come across and having an answer for it.
I pulled a couple of matches here. I was talking earlier about these perfects. You had some matches against Filipino Man where Brent whispered some kind of magic in your ear because you got 2 perfects back-to-back immediately after.
Yeah.
What did he tell you?
If you see my first 2 matches...
all I have here is the perfects.
Yeah. If you see my first 2 matches against Anton, you see that I'm very uncomfortable with an approach towards him. I'm very uncomfortable walking towards him or pressing buttons or getting into my momentum. This is because of just the fact that Chun-Li is on the screen, and I don't feel comfortable pressing buttons against her because all of my buttons are negative, and all of her buttons are going to body my buttons. So that disadvantage is already in my head, and I'm trying to play very safe. Brent comes up and tells me, you're not playing like yourself at all. You need to start making some sort of approach on the offense and make Anton scared of your approach. because I was playing very, very scared of Anton, which is why he was able to maul me. And then once I realized, hey, he's kind of right. I haven't really done any dashes. I haven't tried to open him up in any way, any frame traps. I'm just going to try to rush him down a little bit more. And that turned out to be the best advice that I could have gotten. It wasn't like he was telling me, oh, Anton's doing this, Anton's doing that. He just came up and told me, you're not playing your game. You need to do a little bit of more rush down, feel more confident in yourself, and you should win.
We have another call for you. This is from Blaze. Blaze, you're on the air. Your question, please.
Blaze. All right, my question for Chris T. I have a scene down there. I live in South Florida. It's just a local tournament area that I can go to every Friday. But on my own during the week, I'm trying to get enough practice. I don't have any friends who play it. What would be your advice for me trying to get more practice? Because it's frustrating hitting a wall right now.
Mm-hmm. So you're obviously trying to get more practice or how you can get better, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I started playing Street Fighter 4 when I was 14 and didn't really know about the scene. I somehow played against Anton and Brent online. And Anton told me that Brent is from the same area that I am. After hearing this, I hit him up on Xbox Live, whatever, and he brought me out to the scene. Now, your scene might not be as good as you are, or you might not have a scene. I think the most important thing that you can do if you don't have a scene is play as much online as you can, because the online is only going to get better from here, hopefully. That is in order to understand matchups. Now, if you're making some good money and you can afford to travel a little north to some East Coast tournaments, and they have a lot of majors or even weeklies, if you can afford to do that, then I suggest that you definitely try to go out to more offline tournaments, because the only way that you can get better as a player is to be in situations where you're in tournament offline. You don't know the nerves the way that you do when you're in your pajamas at home or playing or anything like that. Now, that is going to substantially make you a better player when you just play in more tournaments. When it comes to training, honest to God, I don't really have much time in the day. Tuesday and Thursday is practically my only free time. I have class from 8 to 11 on Tuesday and Thursday. But other than that, I will just be doing homework Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have to do a lot of homework because of the major that I'm in. I'm a chem major. I'm also involved with my fraternity. I'm also involved with, my friends. I'm trying to have a social life as well. Street Fighter at a certain level will start becoming more of thinking, whereas to actually putting in the lab work. You know what I mean? There's a difference between going into the lab every 4 hours a day and trying to perfect your combos or anything like that. At a certain level, you're going to be able to hit your combos. Now it comes down to whether or not you can theory fight as well. I asked Infiltration the same question on how he practices and how he gets better. And he said it all comes down to thinking. Once you're a good player, you can start developing ways that you can be better without having to really just go into the training mode and practice it. Training mode will only be in situations where you don't know how to punish something. How do I punish this? Or to make an optimal outcome of a hit that you get. You get what I'm saying? It literally will come down to thinking. And the best possible thing also is to watch a lot of YouTube videos. I was watching so much Japanese Ken play when I first started off in Street Fighter 4, just so I get an idea of how this game is supposed to be played, just so I get an idea of what these guys were actually thinking. When you start putting your head into theirs and saying, oh, I think he did this because of this, then ask a question on Twitter or anybody that you know. If we agree with it, then it's like, okay, you're going on the right path. Just watch a lot of YouTube play and try to make the best of that.
Chris, this next call is about the pause, and we've already talked about that, so I apologize, James, but I'm going to skip your call because we did already talk about that at length. But there's one last call here that I want to get to, and I think it's a relevant one and one that people might really want to hear. John, you're on the air. Your question, please.
Hey, what's up, man? Chris, congrats, dude. Big fan.
Thank you.
Have you been approached by any sponsors yet, and is that something you're considering for the future?
Since winning West Coast Warzone, I haven't been approached with any sponsors yet. If that happens, it would be a great blessing. I'm not saying I'm expecting anybody to hit me up, but it would be very, very nice. I've been waiting a long time. So.
Thank you for your call,
Thank
John.
you so much.
That begs the question, you want to travel to more Capcom Pro Tour events then, for sure?
I want to travel the world. I want to meet more people. I want to get to experience more of life. And the fact that I get to play Street Fighter alongside meeting new people and meeting friends, like, who can ask for anything more? You know, that's the greatest thing that I could accomplish in the Street Fighter realm, in my, you know, personal.
Speaking of your personal life, we do have one more call coming in. Before we get to that, this tweet. Chris T has amazing brothers in Brent is Cool, Mark Teddy, and Julio Fuentes, and rivals from Wednesday Night Fight to push him to the next level that he is at now. There was definitely that sense, if you're watching the stream, that you had your squad was there with you.
Yeah.
How much of a role did that play? Of course, you talked about how Brent gave you some advice, but I mean more about like that energy and being bolstered and that hometown advantage.
Okay. Shout outs to all of the Wednesday Night Fights guys. Shout outs to Julio and a lot of the NorCal guys. Everybody helps me when it comes to me becoming a better player. When it comes to just giving advice, or when it comes to being a challenge for me to play. Everybody does their part into helping one another grow as a player. So, I mean, can you go back to the question? What did I?
Yeah, I mean, basically, how good must it feel to do that in front of all your friends, right? With your friends.
Okay, so the grand finals, the amount of pressure that was on me, because I knew that it was SoCal, NorCal, and there's always going to be that rivalry. I felt the energy of SoCal for sure, but I don't know. I just, in my head, I was telling myself, I cannot lose. I cannot lose. I cannot lose. I have to hold it down for SoCal. And knowing that I won, like I felt the entire SoCal just erupt, and it was awesome.
How'd you like those bunny ear headsets or those cat ear headsets that they were making y'all wear?
I mean, I liked them. They were good. I liked them.
Okay. Before the show, I asked you, Danke wants to have a set with you. We've been doing that in the last couple of shows.
Okay.
Who have you faced so far? Infiltration, L.I. Joe, Gutex, Alex Valle. That's about it, right? Oh, you also fought Fubar Duck in real life here in the studio.
And me and Chris have never played before, even once. That's how we're going to preface this.
You know what? I should pull up the response that I got when I asked him. Chris, is that true?
You should pull up the response.
I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to say verbatim.
Don't pull it up.
So Chris and I have played a couple times. We're not going to talk about the matchups that were played. We're not going to talk about exactly how they went.
My God.
But it's been tough so far, but I think today's the day. And if it's not, it's because my main's not in the game yet.
If you win.
Real life option select is real. The real life option select is real.
Okay, wait. While you get situated, I'm going to get this last call in for you.
Sure.
This call is from... See you later, Danke. We'll see you here in a moment. This call is from Dan. Dan, you're on the air. We can hear you.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask Chris a really candid question. I've seen, like, a lot of the old players, like Shan and Infiltration, basically take, like, the next step and just basically go all in as a pro gamer. And it seems like you're right at the cusp of actually becoming that. But you're kind of trying to get the best of both worlds because you're splitting your time between education. So my question is, if you were fully sponsored, would you actually consider going pro gaming all out? Or is this just not an option at this time?
All right. I mean, to be real, I'm just being realistic here. My aspirations and goals in life, I want to become successful when it comes to my education, when it comes to my lifestyle that I want to have. I feel like I'm going to play Street Fighter for the rest of my life, or, you know, until I get old enough to where my, you know, fingers don't work anymore. This is, however, in hopes of it being as a hobby, whereas, I mean, if I'm getting paid to play Street Fighter, that is amazing, you know, but can I have a family with that? Can I have security? Am I able to become stable and raise kids? I'm trying to... I want my education to be taken more serious than Street Fighter, even if I am getting sponsored and getting paid for Street Fighter. Obviously, I mean, a 21-year-old, yes, that would be awesome. I would be making money while going to school, doing it on the side. But whereas making it a full-time job and having to rely on winning tournaments or to even get a bonus or anything, I can't do that. I'm not going to approach a girl and, you know, be like, yeah, I mean, my only job is that I play Street Fighter. I want to be able to say that I'm stable, I have a good lifestyle, I'm going to school, I'm educated. That, to me, is more important than Street Fighter. So I would definitely love to have the education more than Street Fighter. But Street Fighter being paid for is pretty awesome as well.
So what you're saying is that you're a Chem major first and a Ken main second. Is that right?
Yes. Sadly. sadly. If I could millions of dollars from just being sponsored, then all right, maybe I could, think about it.
Millions. Did you hear that? Millions of dollars
Millions
from
of
an
dollars.
FGC sponsorship.
See, I mean, yeah.
Chris, are you ready to get some games in? I'm
I
not
am.
sure if you've done this before, but in the past, some people have to turn off their webcam or weird stuff gets wonky, but why don't we go ahead and try it? In the
I
meantime,
did invite.
Oh, yeah, he sent you an invite, and it should be under
Okay,
a
let
Lone
me-
Star Gamer.
Do you want me to stay on the Skype call while I play? I don't know if
course.
that'll affect the internet play at all.
That's why I was suggesting that maybe you turn off your camera so we can still hear you.
Okay.
So you can talk trash to to Danke during the set. We'll just hear your voice.
Okay.
And in the meantime, Mike, what's it going to be, bud?
I mean, as a preface, obviously Vega's the worst character in the game.
Oh, come on. dude.
Can't compete in this matchup, but I'm going to try to make it work.
Here, keep talking while I frame up your shot.
No, I mean, I think Vega Ken is pretty even. I don't know exactly how Chris feels about it.
Ken Vega?
Yeah,
What was that laugh about?
that was a chuckle.
I think Vega beats Ken pretty badly.
Oh man,
You
Vega
have to
beats
look at-
Ken bad?
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard for me. The neutral is completely dominated by Vega,
but the show has
I do
ended.
know the Vega matchup pretty
Goodbye.
well from playing Mike Elna, so I have my ways around that.
yeah, definitely. Vega clearly outpokes Ken. I mean, no one can deny that. I think it's a little rough for Vega in the sense that Vega has some of the worst defensive options in the game. His V reversal doesn't let him escape the corner, etc. But you're the champion. And
It's tough for Vega once Ken is in, obviously, yes. It's tough for anybody once Ken is in.
Uh-oh, we got the versus screen.
damn, he's so much bigger than me. He's like twice my size.
You can't see the versus screen, but we got some snazzy graphics that Will put together.
All right, got to roll up the sleeves, take off the watch for this one.
Chris, Danke is hoping to replicate your hometown performance in Houston. Although you're from Chicago, you're a favorite son of Texas by this point. So we'll be in Houston for Texas Showdown, and Danke thinks he can get that 128 points too.
All right.
Damn!
You like that, White Ken? All right, guys. If you want something in the chat to be read aloud, tag.
Chris, is there any chance you can like turn down the volume or something? Like it's echoing really hard.
Yeah, sure. I got
No, like I can't. I literally can't. Like that's
It's the
this
echo,
isn't even
Chris.
an excuse. Like I literally, it's blaring in my ears.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard the same feed. Yeah, if you want.
All right, okay. Here we go.
You hear that, guys? With the opposite legs. Bro, you're getting a lot of dams and freeze and LOLs
I
and
literally
GGs.
could not play that round.
Vega completely dominates. Blacktree wants to know. Oh wait, Chris, did you kill your volume altogether? Or are you still with us? Did we lose Chris? I mean, he's definitely still playing.
I muted Mike.
Oh, there you go. No, we were asking
Okay.
if you could lower the volume on your whatever you're playing Street Fighter on. And since I have you back, Chris, we have a question here. What do you think about Guile being in the game? Has anybody asked Chris T yet? Was the question in chat.
Okay, first of all, is the volume better now?
Yeah, it's great.
Right now, I
What-
cannot
what
hear
about
the game.
buttons?
Okay, perfect.
Is the button pressing too loud, or
The
No,
button's
we're-
fine. The buttons are fine.
what do I think about Guile?
Yeah, you had tweeted that you weren't super excited about the fact that Guile's back in the game.
I mean, name one Ken player that's excited about Guile being in the game.
I don't think I can.
Exactly. So naturally, that's just. I mean, you're gonna hear me talk a lot about bad matchups, but these characters have ways to beat Ken, and as a Ken main, I already know what I'm gonna have to face in the future, and it's not gonna be fun. Now, I can't say that I know exactly how Guile plays, but traditionally it is a bad matchup for Ken. So I have to find some way to overcome it, or probably play another character in order to beat him.
I think Danke's probably losing because the buttons are Or a little loud on your side, Chris.
Completely.
No, I'm just teasing, man.
No,
Okay.
I'm just messing around. Oh man, this is tough.
People think you're struggling, Danke.
I'm definitely struggling. Oh my lord.
Do you need to bring out Alex?
No.
Oh boy. Bro.
This was okay. You know, you always give the first two in the set. You always give the first two.
3?
This is, I'm in winner's side grand finals, and
Okay.
Chris is coming from losers.
Losers. Okay.
Chris is coming from losers.
So you just reset it? Or
No,
is it
he hasn't reset it yet.
Okay, it's 3 out of 5.
He
that's
hasn't
why.
reset it yet. It's 3 out of 5, and then he has to reset it again because I beat him in winners finals already.
Danke is free. Ban the training stage. Okay, pick a difference. No, too late.
No, we have to pick training stage because it's online.
All right. Is murder allowed on stream? Asks Samsana.
Oh, I missed the jab.
Nice.
Oh, sick.
It's like he's writing a term paper on an old-timey keyboard or something. R.I.P. bro. Asks,
Oh, my lord.
Chris, are you a better Ken than Julio?
No, I'm not.
I mean, the results speak for themselves, right?
Where myself, Brett, and Julio are all the Trinity. None of us are better than the other. We complete each other.
Is it like a Triforce?
Yes. Nice punish.
All right. It all starts now. 5 straight rounds. Who cares?
It all starts. All right.
Oh. Caught that walk back. Okay, so grand finals has been reset in 6 rounds, but I'm in losers now. All right, I have completely embarrassed myself so far, but this is changing right now.
I saw you survived a little bit of the shimmy pressure. You jumped out. It looked like it connected. I'm surprised it didn't turn into a combo.
I mean, Ken's shimmies are, if he shimmies with or baits with stand heavy kick or stand heavy punch to crush counter, they're actually both unsafe for Svega at a lot of ranges.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I've been unfortunately misexecuting on that.
You want Ken again or
Ken? Yeah, pick Ken. Don't pick Ken.
Don't patronize him. He was about to say.
Unfortunately, and this isn't even an excuse, like I'm getting bodied right now in every way, shape, and form. There is a Ken in Texas. He lives a bit away.
Talking about Integra?
Cyanide.
Cyanide.
We don't even, Integra doesn't count.
I'll show you the epitome of beauty.
I hope you're watching,
Chris, we had a
John.
question for you in the stream chat, and since clearly you have enough brain power left over to also answer questions and hold full conversations, who is the American player you most fear facing in any tournament? And also shout outs to the Alpha or Story Ken costume here.
the most feared?
Yeah, who's the guy you least want to meet or face against in a tournament of American players?
Can I just say any Mika player? I don't ever want to play against Mika.
That seems fair.
Oh!
Yo, you canceled the slide into V trigger? I didn't know you can do that.
Yeah, you can do it late to frame trap, but the DP beats it, so.
Full screen sweep into V trigger. I'm just kidding.
Ah, it doesn't punish with that range dunk. Gotta do EX. Alright. Not.
Nice.
Oh, bad punish.
What? That didn't work.
Oh my lord. Okay, whiff deep.
The light uppercut should not have whiffed. I should have killed, but I still got the win, so.
Okay. The hot feet. I'm starting to understand everything now. It's like
better late than never,
So
right?
am I downloaded?
Rome wasn't built in a day, is what they always say, and neither was this bodying.
I do like that costume, though.
There you go. I'm in. Nice punish. Oh my god, I got hit by it.
Oh my lord.
Oh, that was it.
There we go. Is that a kill? That's not a kill, is it?
That's not good. Wait, maybe? Yeah.
God damn it. Alright.
What's the score here, man? Catch me up.
It's 1-0 in the reset.
Round 2.
I still have not won a single round.
This is the champion of West Coast Warzone. He has 128 points on the Capcom Pro Tour standings. Number 4.
God damn it, I keep missing the buffer there.
Nice attack.
Take the Bus asks, how many does Danke have? That's a big old goose egg.
Oh, this is it.
This isn't gonna kill, I don't think.
It's not? Yes, it is.
Nah, no
Oh
claw.
my, you got robbed, man.
Oh, come on, you can't block that. That's unfair.
Oh boy.
No!
There we go. Okay, this is the start. This is the start. I won the round. It's over. I got the download. I'm very confident.
The chat seems to think you're eating a lot of fireballs, Danke.
It's so hard to anti this character.
Oh my god, the whip.
Nice.
I think that was a read. Oh god! What? That was fraudulent, Mike. Seriously, just YOLO Rose.
You win.
I guess the download's complete. I guess the download's complete.
I gotta
Chris.
stay totally silent at this point in order to have the concentration to win this.
Fight.
Okay.
He didn't deserve that. Frauded. LOL, let's go.
Oh,
The
that's fine.
reads. The reads. People think you got some sick reads, man. Vega top tier.
These jumping in situations I can never anti-air him in.
I don't know.
Perhaps you should come up with a different solution. Oh, man.
Nice.
Shin El Chapo 666 says, not just a read, a hard read.
A hard read. Okay.
They're saying it's the Lupe Fiasco effect, and I think in this instance, you're the Lupe Fiasco, Danke.
Oh, wow, that was a... I don't even know how fast it is, like 4 or 5 frames.
Wait, did I put on that replay again of all the perfects you got? What am I watching here?
It's 2-1 now in the reset.
You lose.
What I'm having trouble with right now is he's getting fireballs out on screen, at which point it becomes a really hard guessing game for me to anti-air, because obviously if I anti-air with a fireball on screen, I get hit by the fireball.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm blocking the fireball, then blocking the jump in.
What about that little twirl?
And most Ken players don't play much of a fireball game, and I'm having a lot. The twirl is not. The twirl can be punished by V skill.
Nice jump.
Fuck, I missed the combo.
Oh, stand.
See, yeah, it's just, he doesn't throw it in the range that it'll work.
Does Vega have bad anti-airs, or is Chris just hard to anti-air?
It's a mixture of both, and me being bad. Nice, he hasn't done that in a while.
Nick Tanella says, the issue is your defense, Danke. Oh, God. Jeez.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay, so I forgot something, which is in V trigger, his EX fireball becomes +2.
Ah, all right.
Round 2.
You knew that, right, Chris?
Sure.
Shin Zephyr wants to know, Chris T, what do you think of Laura as an overall character?
Ooh, that's a character that nobody seems to be. Everybody seems to think that she's bad, but yo, one touch from Laura, and you're kind of putting that Street Fighter 4 mix-up.
Is that a character you're interested in trying?
Yes. In the future, yes, definitely.
Well, there you go, Shin Zephyr. Chris T thinks that
Nice.
undiscovered tech
All right.
there.
Here it is.
That was a good round, Mike. I hope it didn't coincide with me asking the question with to Chris.
And then he played good. Nice punish.
R.I.P. Bro says, let Chris do his homework, Danke. Danke is free. One touch from Laura. Can you please make him do an accent? Yo, we've been getting a lot of comments here about some accents that you've been making, Chris. People want to hear them, but if they're inappropriate or racist, maybe don't want to offend anybody.
Nice.
What's that?
Should I do it or?
Yeah,
Do it.
go for it.
Do
Let's
it
hear
right
Let's
now.
hear the accent. Let's hear something about that last match in said accent.
No, well, I don't really know what to say much about that last match. You just kind of press a lot of buttons and it worked because it's fake.
Is that your Reinhardt?
That's some British dude accent. I don't know. I don't really know.
I thought I was listening to Reinhardt there for a second. Yeah, that wasn't racist at all.
Nice. Nice.
Nice. And that worked. Nice.
Oh, that was tricky. I tried to mash. That was scrubby.
You know what,
I was
man?
like, I've got all the bars. If this hits, I win.
It would have worked. It could have worked. But it didn't work. People are offended that that wasn't more racist sounding. I had heard that you did an Indian accent that was perhaps stereotypical.
I did do an Indian accent. It wasn't, how should I was only doing it when Dawson was kind of on sick on the match.
Nick Janelle says, what I meant about Danke's defense was that he's pressing too many buttons and techs and getting opened up way hard by crush counter and stuff. Now he's pressing less buttons and living longer, able to get more opportunities to get out of the pressure.
Oh, my meaty.
Nice. And it comes down to this.
Comes down to this, because remember, I reset the grand finals.
Danke, you are coming up with rules as you go along. It's almost as if you're above the law.
Oh. One touch.
Oh, I had it! I had it!
Damn it.
No!
Yes!
So, Chris, if you'd be so kind, what did you do there to beat young Danke?
Finally played serious.
You finally played serious. So when you were winning at first, you were.
I'm kidding. He played Dustin very, very well. I think I was not trying to let him use super. If he got the super out, I knew it would have been bad for me.
And that's actually interesting because exactly what I was trying to do at the end of that round was fish super pretty hard.
Yeah.
I actually have a safe jump on him if I hit it. Like, there's a bunch of different situations where, I mean, obviously it would have been good.
Yeah.
I think I adapted decently well going into the second set, but that pressure is too hard to deal with.
Chris, when I told you, hey, Danke wants a set with you, you said, didn't I body him enough?
Oh, my God. That was
how did you feel his performance this time? Granted, we're playing online, right? And some people have internet issues.
He played very, very well. I obviously know the Vega matchup a lot more than I think he knows the Ken matchup, but he gave me a little bit of a hard time, so good stuff to Danke. But can he see my Vega, though? That's the real question.
You have a Vega?
I'm going to talk. You know what? I'll explain it so he doesn't have to. There was a night at Final Round where I was in the same room as Chris. We played an actually 3-2 money match, Ken versus Vega. He won 3-2. And then when I asked for another money match, he said he'd play his own Vega.
And how'd that go?
I took this as an offense, and then I may have lost.
So the salt did, it had its intended effect. Chris, how do you feel about yourself for doing that to young Danke?
I felt bad. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, it felt like it was the wake-up call that he needed, though. I don't know what more I could say about that. It was a fun set.
I see we have a new host on the show.
Chris, how'd you like to move down to Austin? I need a replacement best of 3 co-host.
A better Vega player.
Oh my goodness! This was in 5, right?
No, I do. I really respect the way that the Kens play the Trinity, if they want to call themselves that, play the game. And I've been learning a lot as someone coming into Street Fighter V who didn't really play Street Fighter 4 from getting my ass kicked by people like this. So, it's an
Chris,
experience
you're
for
doing
me.
a public service, and we really want to thank you for that.
Okay.
While Mike makes his way back up to the desk, Chris, one last question. What's your next tournament? Where are people going to see you again? You want to try to get more points? Are you happy with the points you have, or what are we doing?
Definitely always trying to get more points. So I will be in Seattle for Northwest Majors. I'm not going to Texas. I can't take that much time away from doing homework on the weekends. So, And plus, I have midterms from the 22nd through the 24th, so I need those days off.
But the eye on the prize, Capcom Pro Tour, Capcom Cup is what you're going for.
Yes.
All right, great, man. Well, if people want to know more about you, see more of you, of course, your Twitter handle's been up every time we cut to you. But what streams? People want to see more of your stuff. Where can they go?
Well, the most you could probably watch of me would be at Wednesday Night Fights. That's every Wednesday around 9:30 p.m. Other than that, I stream every now and then. Like I said, I don't really have much time to play the game, but whenever I stream, it's usually for about an hour, and it'll be a random day. I'll usually tweet it out before I stream, play some online matches, or sometimes if I host a Street Fighter V session, which I'm thinking about doing some nights, I'd probably have a couple of players come over, like Brent, Mike, maybe Afro Cole, whoever, and just grind some games. And I'll probably try to stream that so people can see some casuals on the side.
Well, Chris, thank you so much, and again, congratulations on your victory, and thank you for coming on the show, man. We hope to see you again.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Good games, Danke. It was fun. Wednesday Night Fights, everybody at Wednesday Night Fights, and just thank you for everything, guys.
All right, man. Well, have a good one.
You too.
And, he mentioned he won't be coming to Texas. We're in Texas, but we will be going to Texas Showdown. So before we go, show is about done, but we wanted to bring on the tournament organizer for Texas Showdown, a gentleman by the name of Javier Moreno. This guy's been doing it for a long time. We're talking like when Alex Valle comes on, he's talking about the OG days. One of those OGs that he used to play with and travel to Texas Showdown to meet was Javier Moreno. So we have him on. He's the tournament organizer for Texas Showdown, and we want to ask him a couple of questions. Javier, are you there? Hey, Javier, are you there? Javi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hey, there you are, man. Again, I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. Are you guys hearing that on stream?
Yeah, you might just want to mute your...
I'm not sure how that works.
Something, but yeah.
But, Javi, the first question is, we are having some torrential weather in Texas. How are you concerned at all with the current state of Houston, which large parts of which are underwater?
It was pretty bad yesterday, but today it's not so bad. I can actually see the sun. So it's supposed to rain tonight, but I believe when Texas Showdown starts, it should be really good weather.
Wonderful. Follow-up question. There are a lot of streams this weekend. Red Bull Kumite, there's events in Europe, there's Texas Showdown. I think the PAX...
there's a PAX East Invitational
going on. As a tournament organizer, is that a concern? Do you care? Or you're like, hey, I'm here to organize a tournament. The stream is somebody else's business?
It's a little bit of a concern, but the Red Bull Kumite, I'm not actually worried about since they're 6 hours ahead of us. By the time they end on Sunday, I believe it will be like 4 o'clock on our time. So we have plenty of time to, establish our audience.
That's perfect. So, and I think I had heard that they were intentionally staggering that stream, or the fact that since it was another part of the world, that it wouldn't be a concern. But I'm glad to hear that. Now, the reason why I bring up the whole stream thing is because, as I mentioned in the intro, you've been doing this for a while, well before streaming a tournament was even a thing. How has tournament organizing changed from the beginning to now for Texas Showdown?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, when we started back in 2001, I guess you can say there were maybe like 64 people total in the tournament.
Did you say 64?
64.
What was the game in 2001?
Yeah, back in 2001. The big games back then were Capcom versus SNK 1 and Marvel versus Capcom 2. So, yeah. So it was a long time ago.
So besides the game, reminisce a little bit here. I'm excited for Texas Showdown. Texas Showdown has a soft spot for me because I've traveled to it my times. It was one of my first majors. But to you, what stands out when you look back at the history? I know there was a moment in that history where you weren't at the head of the organization, but you've come back.
Right. I think the moment for me was in 2012. We had a tournament over there in the Woodlands, Texas, and I saw that the event wasn't run well at all. I mean, there's an urban legend out there that the Mortal Kombat finals was was running in the bathroom.
I was there, and it was. I will completely. I will.
I saw a picture of it. I was actually at that event. It was the Comic-Con Texas Showdown. I didn't see the pools played in the bathroom, but I did hear about that. Yes, and we refer to that as the Dark Ages, or at least I think you do. Do you want to address that, Javi, once and for all? I didn't mean. I wasn't going to bring that out, but if you want to discuss it.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm willing to talk about it every day. It's one of those moments that I saw that Texas Showdown was in a really, really dark place. And I had consulted with a lot of people during that year, and the year was 2012, on how Texas Showdown just was not the event that it used to be. Mm-hmm. At one time, Texas Showdown was one of the big four events of the year, of any year. You know, we had a good Texas scene with Capcom versus FCK 2, Marvel versus Capcom 2, Third Strike, Super Turbo. And I think along the way, we lost our focus. So what I did was I did a little bit of soul searching. You know, I went to Evo that year just to make sure that the interest was there. The person that I really talked to was Alex Fiat. He was the one that told me that, you know, that, hey, Javi, this is your passion. This is something that you like to do. You need to follow through with it. Mm-hmm. So in that time span, I just tried to make Texas Showdown the event that it can be. You know, I believe that we still have a little bit of catching up to do, but I think we're well on our way of doing that.
You know, we're really excited about it, Danke and I in particular, because we're going to be a part of the stream. Alex is doing the main stream, and we're going to do our usual, we've started kind of exploring, which is the morning show and the halftime show on Grand Finals Day. We're really looking forward to that, and we're honored to be a part of your event as well as a Capcom Pro Tour event. Right. So Alex is doing the mainstream, but Panda, who's doing the secondary streams, is also doing these fight night cards that usually get a lot of hype. You could make the argument that they're hit and miss, but they're mostly really good. And the last ones that I saw at Kumite in Tennessee were awesome. What other things can we look forward to at this tournament, Javi?
Well, you know, I guess the big draw is obviously Street Fighter V. Mm-hmm. Right now we have 260 plus people registered for that game so far, and I think we're anticipating a big on-site turnout for that. So our numbers could be well above 300.
Nice.
Really, it's a little bit of a challenge. It's our biggest game ever, but I believe that Texas Showdown and its staff is up to that challenge.
I wonder what you two guys think about the fact that since it is a Texas tournament, there's more of an opportunity for guys, like you don't have Infiltration, Justin Wong, and all these guys there. Now, in the past, you have had Xian and Justin Wong and Christian, all those guys that are not there this year. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Does it help or hurt how many people show up? Or in your mind, you're like, hey, that gives me potentially more opportunity to win this?
I think the more good people that show up, the better. Mm-hmm. I think it looks better on the people from the state, and I'm sure Javi will agree with me. We have definitely a host of good names coming, and I think it'll be a big tournament. And you'll definitely see some of your regulars. PR Og will probably, make his way into top 8, but you'll see, as a result of it being in Texas, some Texans creep their way in there as well. So, I mean, some players that don't always travel, especially because Texas is so far, will get to make a splash that don't normally. And there's a couple people here who are really good.
How do you feel about that, Javi? About the fact that the makeup of the people coming to your tournament?
Well, I kind of actually disagree with Danke. I think we're right in the middle of everything, so it's easy access for both the West Coast and the East Coast. It's maybe 2 or 3 hour flight for most people, no matter where they're coming from. So I believe that we're going to get a good amount of people from both coasts. Not to mention that there's people coming in from Texas themselves.
Cool. Javi, anything else you want to say to us about Texas Showdown before we let you go? Where can we see it, first of all?
Okay, well, you can visit our website at txshowdown.com. That's the place where you can see all of our polls and the location of the venue. It should be a good event. Don't forget we're a Capcom Pro Tour ranking event. Mm-hmm. We're the second event, so if you need to get your ranking points, now's the opportunity to do so. Mm-hmm. Don't also forget that we're a Combo Clash event. We are the first stop of the Killer Instinct World Tour. So that's important to those who are interested in Killer Instinct.
Yeah, that's our boy Brandon in there, probably getting in there and help set that up, right?
Oh yeah, Brandon's repping hard.
Yeah. So that's cool. So that's huge for the Killer Instinct community. Of course, Street Fighter V Capcom Pro Tour ranking event. Anything else? People are asking who's going to be there. Alucard, PR Rog. We were going down the list. A lot of really big Texas talent like Shen Chen and yourself and Forwood, who I guess now is in California, but he's
Right.
I consider that guy Dallas.
I'm
guy.
not sure of the whole list, to be honest, but yeah, there's
But
names.
Javi, who did we miss there? There's a lot of people coming up that people might want to see.
Well, we have Rico Suave.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we have Hollywood Sleep, who's really big on Killer Instinct.
801 Strider, I forgot to mention him.
Yes, he's coming back for a second year, and I think he's bringing one of his buddies to help compete in this.
Right on.
We have a couple of people from Mexico competing in Smash Melee, so that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure what's out there. We're still taking registrations as we speak. And there's a lot of things that I still need to do, so I really haven't looked at the list, but it's pretty big.
Javi, again, we're really excited for Texas Showdown, and people in the stream chat here. You can have a lot of options to watch stuff. We recommend Texas Showdown. You'll have your boy commentating and playing, of course, and we hope you tune in. Javi, thank you so much for coming on the show, albeit briefly.
All right, thanks.
All right, man. We'll see you this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, you're excited about it. I mean, you get to see all your boys too, right?
I'm gonna do better than I showed today. I promise.
We got it on record, guys.
But remember, my main's not in the game yet.
Thank you, Mike, for reminding us of that. And thank you guys for watching the best of 3.
And of course, don't forget, Capcom Pro Talk is coming on later, and you're going to have second hands. UK had first hands, but second hands on Guile with Combo Fiends. So make sure to watch that.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in. See you next week, guys.